Yo, what's going on? Welcome to season 2 of Chopping It Up. I'm Gabe Henderson. Happy to bring this back to you guys inside of Ackway's Barbershop here in Eagan. I got the guys with me today. It's an elite group of guys, starting to my left, all the way to my left. Mr. Christian Darrisaw, he got the VT on Virginia Tech. To his right, we got TJ Hockenson, my guy Jordan Hicks to my right, and then rounding us out, Josh Metellus. Guys, I gotta ask you, just seeing how the league is and seeing how, you're viewed like from a public standpoint, how has your definition of leadership evolved since you got in the league?
Man, to me, I was lucky to be around a lot of really good leaders as a young guy. I came in, I had D'Amico Ryans as the vet, he was going on year 10. Saw him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, wild, bro.
That's crazy. D'Amico
had D'Amico day one.
That's crazy.
And,
he was he was a player?
Yeah, he was the captain of the defense.
That's crazy.
And then below him, I had Malcolm Jenkins, who, if y'all know Malcolm is as alpha male, right, as they come. So there was this balance between.
And this one you was in Philly.
What's that?
You was in Philly?
In Philly. Yep. That was my first year. I really had D'Amico for 1 and then Malcolm for 4. But yeah, man, I was around some good leaders and got to see it firsthand of how it's done and taking ownership. I think number 1 is ownership. But then, it's multifaceted, bro. It's leading by example. It's speaking up when you need to speak up. It's showing, it's competing, it's being positive, throughout the days when, the team needs that boost, right? So I know we can all, attest to the fact that it's not just leadership ain't just one thing, right? It's it's a combination of a whole bunch of stuff that goes into it.
Yeah, same thing. I came in with a elite group of guys. I was with Matthew Stafford in Detroit, Danny Amendola, Marvin Jones, Darius Slay, those guys, and that was just seeing those guys, Quandre Diggs, being in the locker room with those dudes was absolutely insane. And you being a rookie, you kind of keep your head down and you work. That's how you gain the respect of guys, But now growing into the league, you can kind of take those things and evolve, I remember DA was kind of a quiet guy, but he always did his work, It was you never had to look over your shoulder and wonder if he was working hard because it was he was in it, And Matthew was kind of the same way, just always about work. He had a Sprinter that he would drive to work in, watch film, because he had a 45-minute drive, watch film, and then as he was driving back home, he'd watch film, So just dudes like that
crazy
weren't always crazy talkative, but always did their work. So that's kind of where I learned, the leadership aspect of it.
I gotta ask, when you first found out you were going to Minnesota, or I guess in your case, you chose Minnesota. When you found out you were going to Minnesota, what was the thought process?
For me, I would say growing up in Miami and then making that move to Michigan, hearing the Minnesota, seeing it on TV and just hearing it, seeing the 612 area code, call my phone. I was like, this would happen. I kind of prepped myself for 4 years getting ready for it. So it makes sense that it would happen. At first, I was hoping it wasn't Detroit because I was I wanted to get out of Michigan, see something different. But if they call, I was already here. But just so happened to go a couple states over. So
So you didn't even know where it was on the map?
Yeah, I didn't even know where it was on the map. We didn't play Minnesota. We played Minnesota at home.
Okay.
When I was in Michigan, we didn't even go to Minnesota. The farthest I guess I've been was Wisconsin, and I thought Minnesota was somewhere in between that. I thought it went Michigan, Minnesota. I thought Wisconsin was the farthest west you get in the Midwest because it just didn't make any sense to me.
CD, you from Maryland, man.
Yeah.
You went to Virginia Tech.
Right.
Minnesota?
Oh, man. So I see the phone call come through, 612. I think I talked to Chuck first, and then I talked to Zim and everybody. And then after that, I'm asking my mom, yo, where's Minnesota? I'm thinking it's West Coast, California, over there, Arizona and stuff. I had to pull up my map and Google it. I'm damn, Midwest. All I'm thinking about was cold, freezing temperatures, and everything like that. But I got out here 3 years later. I'm loving it. I embrace it. The people out here, very friendly, and I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah, man. I mean, I would say I got traded halfway through the season, you know. So, like, coming to Minnesota, I mean, I'm from Iowa, you know, so it's just a state away. I grew up coming up here to Minneapolis all the time, and it was like, when I got that phone call, I was like, this is amazing. You know, I get to go back home and kind of be close to family. I mean, I'm 4 hours away, so now, like, for Mother's Day last weekend, I just went down to see my mama. You know,
Iowa's
like,
4 hours away from here?
Yeah,
Didn't
my
even know that.
hometown, you know.
Didn't even
like,
know that. That's
it's,
crazy.
It is. You know, the Midwest is kind of, it's just, right.
You get to Chicago in like what?
A 4.5.
Yeah.
No. Depends on who's driving. About 6. It's about 6. Yeah, it's about
Depends on who's
Yeah, right.
driving. I know this guy's got Florida pedal to metal.
Of each other, but the states seem pretty big though. That's why it's crazy, like, cause you get to each state so fast, but the states seem pretty big. Like Michigan is big, but then you get to Ohio, you get to Iowa, like that fast. It's crazy.
Man.
Being in free agency for me, it's a lot different, right? Because you get to choose where you're going. And I'd only been to Minnesota once, and that was for the Super Bowl when I was in Philly. And it was like
Rub it in, man.
Dog,
Rub it
it was
in.
negative 40 outside.
Oh my God.
So, like-
bad
That wasn't in the indoor stadium either.
No,
huh?
it was.
It was?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
I
it was
was
the
gonna say.
first year U.S. Bank had opened. But the man, we ended up like trying to go out for dinner and stuff, and you couldn't go outside, so you just stayed at the Mall of America the entire time. It was crazy how cold it was. So when I got the opportunity, it was like, does this make sense? I got 3 kids, man. I got a wife. I'm gone all day. They got to be happy, you know what I mean? Or else I'm hearing it all day, right? So it's like, at the end of the day, it was about getting these dubs and winning, right? Because, you know, it don't matter what you do in this game. If you're not winning, it ain't fun, right? It sucks to lose. So it was, but like Minnesota as a whole has been like completely opposite of everything that I thought it was going to be, other than the cold.
So when you move, right? Like, cause on the ticker on ESPN, when the person gets drafted or traded in free agency or signed in free agency or traded during the season or signed in free agency, the first thing you see is like X amount of dollars. Like, this guy's going to make X amount of money and his life is going to be good the rest of his life. Let's put that aside. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you actually get the call that, like, hey, I'm actually about to move to a new state?
I mean, dude, that was logistics. I mean, they called me and they were like, it was noon. I was heading to my chiropractor, which I like always did on Tuesday, a weekly thing, and then I get a call, hey, you're traded to Minnesota. I said, all right, cool. They were like, then Minnesota called me and they said, hey, can you be on a plane in 2 hours? I was like, do I have a choice? I mean, I gotta go, you know? So it was like, I was packing, I was trying to get everything done, and luckily my fiance is like incredible. So she was able to get everything packed. You know, I just put everything in a suitcase, and so she was able to get us a place here and within like a month, and found us all the furniture, found us everything, you know, and it was like we kind of got locked in as quick as we could, but that was all on her, thankfully. You know, you have somebody able to do that, but man, I was just grinding, you know, getting in at 6, leaving at 9, and living in the hotel for a month, you know. It was just like, it was insane, but logistics was the biggest thing for me.
It was different, just being like in the Midwest, and like TJ said, we was in a hotel for the whole OTAs and everything like that. Then finding out where I wanted to live, not being from here, and just kind of like going to different areas and trying to figure it out soon.
Is it a culture shock?
Low key, I feel like a little bit, just because I was from the East Coast and I didn't really travel that much. And going to the Midwest, it was just like, all right, we up near Canada and just like the surrounding states around it. And but like I said, I love it. Like downtown, Twin Cities, beautiful places.
In the summertime.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my move area was COVID, like literally middle of COVID. So I went from living in Arizona, training for the combine, doing my thing there, to going back to Michigan for pro day. And as soon as I get there, like next day, COVID hit. I don't even have my pro day. So so now I'm living in Michigan for a whole month, like by myself. Like me and my roommate, we in there by ourselves. COVID, can't go anywhere. Everything's closed down. We like, dang, like what we gonna do? I'm like, we might as well just go back home. We might as well fly back to Miami. Like we might as well stay home there. Like we're gonna be in the house all day. So that's what we did. We went home. We literally flew back to Miami, stayed there until the draft. Draft come and boom, get drafted. But it's not like when CD get drafted. You get drafted. All right, come out this next weekend. Like for me, it was all right. Like, are we gonna play this year? Like, are we even gonna? Am I even gonna get the chance to go out to Minnesota this year? Like, are we even gonna play? Like, at COVID, like I don't even know like what's going on. I'm trying to make sure like I don't get sick. My mama don't get sick. Like, so that's the last thing you worried about. So like moving logistics, that was like way down the line. Like I didn't even think about moving. I'm like, I still got stuff in Michigan. I still got stuff in Arizona. I haven't even got a chance to go like move anything. So I'm just like, in that time I actually met my wife during COVID, so that was a blessing. So my first time to Minnesota, middle of COVID, team still hasn't told us to come out. We did like virtual OTAs. Then we came in August, and I was just slowly moving through there, trying to move through COVID. Still a lot of stuff going on. So I mean, it was definitely a lot. I mean, but I would say moving and the logistics and all that stuff, that was the last thing I thought about. Like it was so much stuff going on. Like you just wondering like if you even get to play football. Like I went through a whole rookie year. My first tackle. Like I went from playing Alabama January 2nd to having my first tackle of live football action week 4 of the season. Like,
with no fans.
No playing, no action, nothing, just no fans. Just crazy.
What was the difference between year 1 and year 2 for you? Like how was that feeling walking out of the stadium
it was
when
just,
there were fans?
It was just the preparation was different. Like, like I just had more time to lock in. Like we went from doing OTAs on virtual, like I didn't learn anything really. Like it was hard. Like you can't, like if I'm not out there, talking to the guys, making communication calls, like seeing it like eye to eye. So like going through that whole rookie year was like I was on my heels. So then going into the second year, you finally get that feeling like, oh, you get people cheering. You get to go to OTAs. You get to have actual preseason games now. You get to showcase, what you can do. And then, when you come into that week 1, now you're more confident. You more, you more trust your ability more. Even though I got hurt, I ended up getting hurt at the end of camp. I hurt my ankle, so I played the first half of the season hurt. But like just that energy and like that was getting me through. Like the adrenaline I was getting from that atmosphere, just being in the U.S. Bank, just made my ankle feel 10 times better than it was actually feeling.
It changes though. Having the fans, everybody was preaching that, we got to do it without, this and that. It's the same game. Like,
no, it was a completely
different, bro.
Completely different games.
It's not the same. It's not the same. The fans bring a whole
100%.
to it.
I mean, I remember week 1 that year, Vikings, Packers, Aaron Rodgers here. Aaron Rodgers checking that line of scrimmage. You can hear what he's saying. Like, it was ridiculous.
We played Tennessee. You could hear Derrick Henry's footsteps stomping on the ground. Like, dang, like what's going on?
But
like,
you get a
crazy.
good quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, and you start making checks. He can, as much as we can hear them, they can hear us.
Exactly.
Crazy.
So it's like, man, you got to be silent on defense. That's
real.
It's a whole different element.
And the pads cracking that year was like insane too. You were like, oh man, that was a hit. You can't hear it all the time. You're like, oh man.
What's one thing you wish you knew in year 1 that you know now?
Really, most part, like taking care of my body. I really feel like my rookie year really wasn't like a big thing for me. And then year 2, we got Tyler and Uriah, and they kind of laid out like a whole plan for each of us individually, and it kind of helped me. And throughout the season, like I felt great. I missed 3 games with a concussion, but other than that, I had no like little lingering injuries or anything like that.
What about off the field?
Off the field, I'm still trying to figure that out. I really feel like I got like a great group of guys around me. Anything I need, I can just hit them, and they'll lead me the right way. But yeah, nothing yet. I haven't figured out.
I would say just routine. Like I didn't have a set routine my first 2 years in the league, and last year, from the start of the off season to the end of the season, I felt like, I had a solid routine throughout the whole year. And I felt like, I played the best football I played since being in the league that year.
Yeah, man. I mean, I would say the same thing, like body-wise. I mean, the first year in the league, I was able to not stretch, dude, and go out there and just be like doing my thing, And now I'm like, I need a full-on warm-up. I need like cupping. I need all of it, So like, that was the biggest thing. And then not only that, but like, off the field wise was, kind of having a life after, like outside of football, like being able to set your day aside and work while you're in the building and like even go watch some extra film and do your stuff, but then being able to go home and not carry stuff, you know, like after a game on Sunday, you have a bad game. It's hard to go home and like have a genuine like conversation with my fiance or like my family, because I'm so disappointed in myself that like it's hard for me to look you in the eyes, you know. So it was like learning that has been huge for me.
My last question, I know everybody got a tea. Well, y'all got a tea time, so I'm gonna get y'all out of here.
Let's go.
All right, because you talked about college, which makes me think about NILs.
I would have, man, if I had NIL.
Have you envisioned? What's you guys' thought process just behind NIL?
I would have mine stay in the 5th year.
Yeah, I would have stayed in the
100%.
I would have got my master's, like, to me, because I came into college, like
You had a COVID year too,
yeah,
right?
I came into college and like I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I went into business school, like so like I had like it was plans. I stopped, like I'm like, oh, I won't be able to do that in time because of football, like, you know, like I wanted to leave in 3.5 years. I won't be able to go to business school because it was a four-year minimum program, and I'm like, I'm not trying to like come back after. So, you know, I had to push some things back. But if I knew you was getting paid and I could still, you know, help my mom out a little bit, I would have stayed 5 years, no problem. Got my master's, 5 years, done, easy.
Coach, in a gray shirt this year?
What, like it's crazy that you say that. Going into my senior year of high school, I had already had the Michigan offer and was committed, but they told me, you know, if I didn't, you know, play well enough, you know, it was a chance I could get gray shirted, you know. So, you know, I tried my hardest. I played every game. I tore my labrum and played throughout the whole season just because, you know, I didn't want to get gray shirted. And like if I knew it was NIL deals, I would have that would have been a worry for me. You know, I would have went into college, you know, no issue. You know, like money, like the money, like, you know, I'm not trying to leave to go get money. Up until, you know, you get into the league and you realize that you have off season where there's no football and you have to find other things to do. Like, you don't realize how much we revolve around football. Like, football was like literally the center of our life, and it shouldn't be that way because, you know, we don't get to do this all the time. Like, it's honestly crazy for real. Like, I don't know what I would have did. I just know it would have been different for sure.
It's such a different landscape, though.
It is.
Portals open and people are chasing the bread. That's what I'm saying. I would have chased the bread without question, right? Coming out, I was the #1 linebacker coming out, right? Mr. Ohio.
Come on.
Mr. Ohio, like, yeah, that could have gone anywhere, right? So it would have, how much money came into play would have definitely, you know, been a factor in where I chose, right? I don't know. I think it's right that they're getting paid. They definitely deserve it. I don't know how I feel about, you know, it being open like that.
I'm not sure either.
I haven't really
I
thought about it too
redshirted,
much.
right? And so it's like if some of these kids that are redshirting, like they're not playing, then it's like they're gone, you know. But like my redshirt year was my biggest year, you know. Like when I redshirted, I focused on everything, and I knew I had to play, you know. Like that was where I was going to be for 4 years, and so I had to like grow into that. And that's like tough times make tough people, you know. Like that was one of my tough times, you know. Like, and so the fact that some of these kids can run away from that and then go somewhere and start playing, it's like that's a scary thing too, you know.
It's such a, there's a balance to it, right? Because it's like, it works out for a lot of guys, right? And if I'm a parent, I'm telling my kid, like, you know, whatever's the best situation for you, it might be somewhere else. But at the same time, you're right.
Is the bag different for offensive linemen?
I feel like it definitely is.
Okay.
The skill guys get more love,
Okay.
As you know. But
Them
in
boys
the
are
league,
grinding though.
yeah, we
Boys are
definitely
grinding.
we definitely. In the league, I feel like the bag's different though. They show the offensive line love, for sure.
Man, fellas, appreciate y'all. This was dope. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you, dude.
Appreciate
Yeah,
you,
man.
man. This was good.
Chopping it up.
To the guys, man.
We got the rookie.
Obviously, I didn't get a haircut. But.
You should have. I mean, would you do it? No.
Yeah, you can shape this up. You can shape this up.
How long you gonna let that grow?
Man, I need to get a trim here soon. But.
No, I'm talking about like,
Oh, I'm gonna let it go.
you like Samson now.
Yeah, I know.
You trimmed it? You trimmed
Yeah, I
it?
trim it every once in a while. Probably once every 4 or 5 months. I trim it. Get
Appreciate
the split ends out.
Let it grow stronger.
All right, appreciate y'all, boys.
Yeah, for real. Appreciate you, homie.
Appreciate you, dog.
Appreciate you, see.
Already.
We good. Go get that tea time.
Cut.